So the upcoming video you're about to see is about food preservation. So we're kind of taking the whole gardening, foraging thing a step further. So we're going to do dill pickles, which is pretty basic. I figured it was a good starting point for food preservation videos. It's something pretty much within everybody's capabilities that it's nice to have some specialized gear for doing it, but you don't really need it. Probably the tools for grabbing the hot jars and lids would be, you know, the ones you really would want if you had nothing else. But, you know, there's a will, there's a way. If you didn't have those things, you could do it. All you really need is a big stock pot with a lid that holds enough water to cover your jars. I practice safe food preservation, obviously. I've been canning for years with no problem, but I would suggest, you know, before using this video to do it yourself, that you consult a good canning book, just to make sure you've got the basics down, because there is some steps that you cannot skip. And I've been doing it so long that you know, I can kind of go on instinct and memory, but for somebody starting out, you really should go step by step by step by step, just to make sure that you know, you're not missing an important thing. Beyond that, you know, I hope you take this video to heart and take up learning about canning and food preservation. In the future, we'll probably do some pressure canning, some dehydrating, drying food for food preservation. With the medicinal plants, probably you know, making tinctures and that sort of thing. It all goes into, you know, preservation. So, anyways, enjoy the video, and I hope for somebody that hasn't you know, been exposed to this kind of thing before, I hope that you do learn something. For somebody that's been canning, it's probably a little on the basic side, but you know, maybe there's some entertainment value in it for you. I don't know, but I hope you watch and enjoy the video, and I hope it adds something to your preps. So amongst these weeds here, I've got some dill growing that self-seeded from when I'd planted it here a previous year. So we're going to use that. Nice fresh dill. Today we're going to do some do-it-yourself home storage. Dill pickles from cucumbers get out of the garden. Got the main ingredients you need right here. Got fresh dill, white mouth canning jar, cucumbers. Over here we're sterilizing the jars we're going to use. Pickles, you don't need a pressure canner. One of these cheap canners, water bath canners here, you know, they're like $20-30 at you know, any department store. Work just fine for pickles. So anyways, I'm going to get washing these up and slicing them, and I'm going to make some dill pickles out of them. I've got enough cucumbers cleaned and sliced up for 8 pints. Still waiting for the jars to sterilize. By sterilizing them, you know, you boil them covered in water for approximately 10 minutes is my usual method. But while we're waiting, we'll get our brine ready. And the brine consists of just vinegar, water, and salt. So we're going to go 2 cups vinegar, pot. 2 cups water. And a dash of non-iodized salt. I've got coarse sea salt, works pretty well. I just throw some on in there. When the time comes, we'll bring it to a boil just before we're ready to add it to our jars. But for now, we're playing the waiting game. So I'll have to add in here, as you watch the video, there's one particular clip where I mix up the brine, the vinegar, water, salt, brine, where I say in it to 2 cups of vinegar and 2 cups of water and a little salt, and that is the proper ratio. But for 8 pints, and I remembered this after I did the clip and added it, and never got a chance to go back and fix it at the time, so I'll put it here now. For 8 pints of pickles, actually takes about 3.5 cups of vinegar, 3.5 cups of water, and a little salt. So just be on the safe side, do 4. So basically double what I say in the video. So 4 cups vinegar, 4 cups water, throw in some salt. Does the salt, not too picky, just throw some in there. And that'll give you more than enough for 8 pints. If you do the original 2 and 2, you'll get about 5 pints into it and run out. So you don't want to do that, because you kind of got to do it all at once. Alright, so we're just about ready here. I got my sterilized jars waiting to be filled. For those totally new to the concept of canning, these canning tools, like this jar grabber, are a great asset. You can buy basically a canning kit when you get your canner. It basically comes with one of these. Stick with a magnet on the end you use to grab your lids with. Usually a ladle and a funnel. If you can find ones that are all stainless steel, get those. Most of the ones now are plastic, and the plastic one works, but the stainless steel ones are a lot better. When you have your new canning jars, or canning lids, you want to rinse these off in hot soapy water to get any residue of manufacture off from them. And then what you do is, when you're ready to put your lids and rings back on, you want your lids in hot water, basically almost boiling but not boiling. So what I usually do is bring a small pan of water to a boil and then shut it off, give it 30, maybe 45 seconds, and then throw them in, and that's about perfect. And if you put a lid on them, they stay basically at that temperature through the process. That's pretty much all you need. We're getting ready to fill our jars here. All I'm waiting for is water to heat up to put the lids in, and we're going for it. So just as an example, put an onion slice, some of my dill, stuff that right on in there. We fill it up with our cucumber slices. Shake so they'll settle. We want to fit as many as we can as possible. basically we'll repeat that 8 times. Now we're going to add our brine. You want, when it's all full and the brine's in, you want a ½ inch of space between the top of the brine and the lid. Not quite a ½ inch, pretty close. Oops. Try not to spill the brine like I just did. Again. Here's another part where our tools come in. Those kits usually come with one of these. You poke that down in there. Like that. That's to get any air bubbles that might be trapped in there out. So do that. Carefully wipe the rim. Get anything off. Any residue that might be on there. And this amazing tool, just a stick with a magnet on the end so you can grab the lids out of the hot water. Drop your lid on there. Screw on the ring. Hand tighten good and snug. And that one's ready to go in the canner. Now for the processing. Those of you completely new to this, what we mean by processing is we basically boil the jars. The jars have to be completely covered with water. I don't know if you can really tell here, but there's about 1.5 to 2 inches of water over the top of the jars. We bring it to a boil. We're going to process for 15 minutes. That's 15 minutes after it comes to a hard boil. Now the important thing here is it has to be boiling that entire 15 minutes, and the jars have to be completely covered that entire 15 minutes. It probably won't be an issue today because it's only 15 minutes. Some processing takes longer, but it's always good to have another container of boiling water on the side, just in case you should have to add water through the process, that you don't lose your boil. If you do lose your boil, basically you start your 15 minutes over again. So I got the fire going on under this, and I'm going to put the lid on and start my count when they come to a hard boil. Alright, got a good rolling boil here, so I'm going to start the 15-minute count right now. Okay, our 15 minutes is up. So I shut her down. I'm just going to let this calm down a little, and we'll take our jars out. And there we have it, dill pickles. As they cool down, the jars should seal. Once they're cool, probably tomorrow morning, check them, make sure they all did. If one doesn't, it's fine. You can just stick it in the fridge and eat it up. Normally, I would wait about 2 weeks before I open the first jar, just to let the brine do its thing. So you get optimum taste. But yeah, that's all there is to it. Dill pickles, home food storage. So concluding this video, I mean, the main point, I mean, for one thing, dill pickles, just for the average person, fun thing to do. You know, it's fun and they taste good. For the hardcore survivalist, preparedness-minded person, what you're doing, you're taking a cucumber that, at best, once you pick it, would last, you know, a few days. Basically, you have to eat it right off. You're taking that pickle, basically adding it to a vinegar and water solution and processing it in a jar and making that same cucumber that you would have to eat right away or it would go bad, and creating a situation where it could potentially stay good for years. So I can't really stress enough, gathering knowledge of food preservation is really vital. So you know, any chance you get, expand your knowledge in food preservation, because someday you may need it. Thanks for watching.